Now, now it is time to talk about the automation. And automation is something, I must say, it is big, but let's talk about it. First of all, we notice in the first slide in our day 2 and the first slide in the user guide that they are showing us the core component of OS 10, the ASAI, the native Linux exists there, and the CBS. And we saw two things in the upper part here is the DevOps and NetOps. Can any one of you tell me the difference between DevOps and NetOps? They added here, they put here NetOps and NetOps. And actually to talk about automation, we need to cover this differentiation between them, DevOps and NetOps. So if any one of you is at least in chat, yeah, Zishan saying, good. DevOps, Zishan saying DevOps for software development and NetOps for network automation. Okay, fair definition. Short but fair for both of them. Normally, DevOps is a term that have two departments: developers and operators. Developers are your programmer, your software developers, the programmers. And ops is the operator, and operator here means network admin and system admin. We used to, if we are big enterprise, we used to have team that developer team or programmers that creating application for us from time to time. And this application for sure will be application that can be run in a network. So this application need to communicate with some TCP, UDP port numbers and so on. And maybe deal with some specific type of databases, and all these things will lead to have a communication between developers and operators. But there is something. Maybe I will send you email, and this email saying, "Hey, operator, tell me, did you block this port number? We will use this port number in our application. It is open or closed. Can you open it for?" Or any type of information will be there, and the operators or network administrator, they don't like change in your network. If everything is fine, if everything is working fine, leave it, keep it like that, keep it working. And to keep it working, I don't like to have new changes daily, new features added daily, new applications installed daily. I don't like that. This is something we have in operators. And at the same time, developers is doing their own program, and they will spend like 6 months doing it. If they send me an email, I can respond after 3 days. And in the opposite way, if you are sending to the programmer an email, maybe he will not respond quickly because it is not urgent. Nowadays, we cannot have this. Nowadays, we are in the app and the apps era. Everyone has an app. Even maybe if you are living in a building, maybe you'll find this building has an app. So if something need to be fixed, just fill it in the app. They have apps. Government sectors, they have a lot of apps. helping here to do that, do this, request something. And apps normally, when the programmer created, they will not spend 6 months to create it. No, it will take short time, 1 week, 10 days. So we cannot have this gap between operator and developers. So what we will do, we will merge them together. We will make them work in the same department, in the same environment. There is no such a thing, you don't like change. There is no such a thing that you will answer the operator after 2 days. There's no something like that. And this for sure lead the network administrator to know about few things that the developers use, like their own languages when they are talking about things like this is agile, this is lean. And normally these terms, you should see it even if you are working in a project for networking, not for only developers. And in the same times, I need to understand things maybe I will never care about it before, like version control software, like GIT or Git. I need to understand it. Then they said, and according to the Zishan good short definition for both of them, they said the term ops is operating. It can be in general operators or operation. What about getting the same concept, DevOps, in different things? Why is that? Because this story that I told you about programmers and developers and network admin or operators, it leads us to have new concepts. One of them is the automation concept. Automation means make everything happening automatically, quickly, fast, in wide scale. If you can spend 1 minute to configure one device, why not spend the same 1 minute to configure 10 devices? And when I say 1 minute to configure, that means you're not typing in a command line anymore. You are pushing something, pushing a script or something like that. And they said, okay, this concept of automation, we can have it in network and do this example that I just said, push the configuration somewhere. In both cases, DevOps, NetOps, you are using same DevOps tools. And in day one, one of our colleagues in Dell team, he talked about a few tools and how Dell OS10 switches is supporting these tools, DevOps tools like Puppet, like Chief, like Ansible. But with Ansible, I must say I like Ansible more than Chief and Puppet. Why is that? Because Ansible is agentless. The other are agent. What does this mean? It means Ansible, when you want to run it, you don't need to go to each switch and install a small application and keep it there to accept anything from you. You don't need to install this small agent. Ansible is agentless. You have the right information, the right credentials, send it to the devices, he will send it. And this is the power of Ansible. That's why Dell content developer, they really like to show you in page 113 inside your student guide. Where is it? Just a minute. I have a lot of boxes open here. Tabs. Let me check. No, this is not here. Let me open the let me show it to you in the PDF in our user guide. If I go to page 113, you will find that they give you one chapter, the majority of chapter 6, about Ansible and how it is supporting and communicating with Dell. Ansible come with modules. These modules, a few of them are made to support Dell EMC switches. OS 10 switches. Here is, it's called Dell OS10. Dell OS config _config. That's mean you need to do something with the configuration, and then they will show you a few example configuring OS 10 switch using Ansible. And to configure it, actually, all the things that you are going to do, you will do it in your device, in your laptop. What you need to remember about Ansible, it is belong to Red Hat, but it is open source, similar to TCAS Plus and other concept of having something, you own something, but you keep it open for others. They have their own Ansible, but it is open source. We can use it. And Ansible is based in two important things that you need to remember. It is based in Python language, and it can be added to any Python script. And also, it is using YAML as a data encoding. What is data encoding? You remember when I was talking about data modeling, and I said we have Yang, MIB in SNMP, for example, and I said it's similar to English language. Data encoding is like JSON or XML, and it is just the accent. It is how you will say what is up. You will say what is up, or you will say what's up. Both are the same, okay? And we can say the first one is JSON and the second one is XML. I'm representing the data. This data, basically it is made in a language, data modeling, Yang, but I'm going to present it to you using JSON codes or XML codes. And I can take this startup.xml in OS 10, go to some website, and I would say convert it to JSON. Let me see this in JSON. JSON is very easy to read, more than XML. These are data encoding, XML and JSON. There is a third data encoding. We call it YAML. And Ansible is using it when he send receive something, and especially when he, not send receive, but when he's storing data about something, he's using, like his configuration file. Ansible is based in a simple concept. Just wait a minute, let me show you quickly something about it. This is a good configuration between Puppet and Chief. As you can see, it is agentless, based in Python, popular scripting language and programming language nowadays. It is old one, for 2 decades is there, but now it is more popular than Ruby, and Ruby is with Chief and Puppet, so you need to learn these two this language with Chief and Puppet. Here's the difference between them. We have also another one called Salt Stack. We have a lot of DevOps tools actually, but Ansible is the best. Let me just show you how Ansible works. Ansible engineer will create a playbook, and this playbook will be written in YAML in your control station, in your laptop. In this playbook, I have different tasks, and these tasks is doing something. Configure this in the switch, change the OSPF, turn on this, and then I can push or copies my Ansible modules to these devices, Dell switches. But Ansible modules will be written in Python, and it will be sent to execute the task inside the playbook. Ansible basically created, since it is owned by Red Hat, it's basically created to be run in Linux. So you need to have a Linux machine. Your control station here is not Windows. There's a way to do that, but normally it is made for Linux, run it in Linux. And his configuration file is called ansible.cfg. You can find it in folder or directory Ansible inside etc directory. There is one question here is how your Ansible will know the IP addresses for Dell switches here. We will use another file. We will call it hostess file. And in hostess file, I will add all my Dell switches IP addresses, maybe name, and if I'm configured, my Linux machine configured with DNS, it for sure can resolve the names. And you can even in hostess file divide or group your Dell switches to groups. Like I have a group, I will call it SB something, then the Z series, I will give it a group, S series, I will give it a group, and so on. This is the configuration file. By the way, you see the configuration file here, this is YAML also. The hostess file, sometimes we call it inventory file. So the hostess file that I was talking about, also we can call it inventory file. Both are the same thing. It will have the host, can be IP or fully qualified domain. This is your Dell switches, and the groups for sure, to group them if you want. Like for example here, you can see I say cat hostess. Hostess is the name of the file. Sometimes we call it inventory file. Both are the same, but in the end, the real name for it inside the Linux machine will be hostess. And you can see I group it here. I give a name for the group, switches, then I'm giving the name. The command line tool, there is from Bash shell itself, if you installed Ansible using a tool, we call it pipe. Normally we use it with Python to install third-party libraries. You will find you have a few commands here that you can use, including run a playbook. If you want to run a playbook, you will type Ansible playbook and the name of the playbook. Here is the terms that we have. Here is one example for that. This is an Ansible playbook. And in this Ansible playbook, I have two play. Okay. Play 1 and has this name. And in play 1, I have 2 tasks. And then I have play 2, and play 2 I have inside it 3 tasks. In the play 1 I have task to get the host name from the server, but by applying Ansible _ host name. Then I have another task, operating system, and it is distribution, Ansible distribution. You have another play here. The play has another name here, as you can see, the first name here. Then you have 3 tasks to get the default IP version interface, retrieve network routers by typing netstate -rn. You will find some example in our official material here. Here he's showing you how to create your stuff, how to create your playbook. This is a playbook. It is called OS10 Switch 1. It is extension YAML. And here is the name of the play. And it looks like you have 3 plays inside. 3 tasks, sorry. The task is inside the play, and the play, 1 play or more is creating the playbook. That's it. This is what they like to show you with Ansible, but this is not the end of the story for sure for automation. We still have something else, and this is related to, frankly speaking, using what we call it API. Quickly, what is API? API is any software, any piece of, or any protocol that can make two applications talk to each other, or two entity talk to each other. So if you have an app, and this app is made to find all the supermarkets in a specific location, for sure, and then you can order from them directly or whatever. That means your app should have an API communication with Google Map, so you can see the Google Map inside the app, right? When it comes to NetOps, the APIs that we have, the API story started before even the 3 APIs that nowadays you will find everyone talking about. We have 3 APIs that NetOps can use, and normally we have the REST API, and we have Netconf, the one that we just talked about it as a replacement for SNMP, and we have Restconf. These are the main APIs here. Let me add the API for Netconf. Before I talk about these 3, let me explain something quickly. To be good with automation, you need to learn a few things like Python programming language, basically. And in Python programming language, you will understand that we can have basic or what we call it standard libraries that we can use to do different things. And there is third-party libraries that can help you if you want to use Python programming language to do some data analysis, to work with artificial intelligence, to work with big data solutions, or to work with networking. And one of the third-party libraries that we can use with Python, it is called NAPALM. Here, as you can see in this Python script, I need to enable or in another meaning, activate my third-party library NAPALM in this script. So I'm onboarding it. There is a command here saying get network driver. Then I'm creating a variable called driver. It will get for me iOS. This looks like related to Cisco. iOS VLT, another variable I'm creating. This is giving the IP address and the username and password for a device. It looks like it is iOS. Then I'm applying a command here, get facts. Get facts for this variable, which is what? Which is this IP address with this credential, and I'm opening a connection with it. This is simply, even if you don't know Python, you can understand what's happening. And then you are saying print to me in my command line, print to me the result for executing this get fact command that's going to be applied against a device looks like it is iOS, has this IP address, this user credential. This is happening because I import this third-party NAPALM. Now, if I go to NAPALM itself, website, they will say we are supporting RST iOS, Cisco iOS, Cisco iOS XR, Cisco NX OS, Juniper Genos. And you can see also in somewhere we can also see, let me check network driver. Here is information about network driver. What is the command that you can use, like get facts, supported devices. Here is the supported devices, EOS, iOS, IXR, NXOS, and get facts. Let's see get facts. Get facts. It's like show version or show interface. It is supported by all these operating systems. And the question here, okay, I got it. We can have this capability to get information or maybe set information using Python and third-party libraries like NBLM or NAPALM. Okay, where is Dell here? Actually, for some reason, I don't know, they didn't add it here. They need to update their own website that they are supporting Dell EMC. And the networking team in Dell, they create a PDF as a tutorial for you. Here it is. It is NAPALM integration documentation, how to use NAPALM with, and it is just created 2 months ago or something like that, 22 April, well in July, so yes, 3 months. I will share with you the link for this PDF. It's very cool. It's showing you exactly how to install NAPALM, then how to communicate with Dell switches with NAPALM and creating. Notice something. I just want to notice you notice something. In supported devices, you remember what is the driver name? It was iOS right here, and here it is. So this is not something you just type because I'm dealing with iOS. I will type iOS. No, this keyword is official and registered. And here it is, iOS. Okay. For Dell, it is Dell OS10. This is the name of the driver that can make you communicate with Dell switches. Okay, let me share with you this one in the chat. Okay. For Dell switches, I'm writing it like this because you are getting I see you are getting also the script for the chatting. So you can know what is this link talking about. Okay. Very good job from NAPALM, from the team, Dell team, networking team, because they create this one. And it looks like NAPALM official website needs to be updated because they are supporting Dell switches OS. If you want more information about NAPALM, you can go to this link also. I will add it in the chat. This example will be general, so don't accept to see more about Dell. The first link is more about that. Now, this is enough? No, we need to use APIs. And what we just did is consider example for API, but what we talk about here when it comes to networking, it is a little bit different. Here we are talking about 3 APIs: REST API, Netconf API, and RestConf API. I will make it simple for you. You know that you have a browser in your laptop, and your laptop is communicating with a web server, right? you are asking for something, so you are asking for resources in your web server, and your resources that you are asking for could be a page or a file. What you are sending to the web server or web application server, you are sending a URI or URL, right? And in this case, the server will check his content, and he will find the resource. If it is there, he will tell you, here it is, and he will send it to you. Your browser is responsible to convert what he is getting to something you can understand and put it in the browser. The conversation that's happening between the browser and the web server happen using a request response protocol. We call it HTTP. And HTTP is normally based in specific commands or verbs. If you work in cybersecurity, if you work in network engineering, you will understand that in layer 7, when HTTP is running, it is executing commands. Sometimes we call it HTTP methods. Sometimes we call it HTTP verbs. Like when you open a page, like when you open a Google homepage, in this case, you are executing like 20, 30 different get HTTP command. It's called get me, get me, all the components that make this resources shown to my shown in my browser. When you type something in Facebook, when you type something in forum, and you are sending this information to web server, you are doing what get command. Now we are doing post command. Okay, similar to set command in SNMP, but in HTTP we call it post command. We have updates, we have batch, update and batch. One of them will do merging, one of them will just replace what we have with something completely new. We have delete. Now, imagine that my browser, which is in this case, I will not call it a browser. I will call it Postman, for example. And using this application or this browser or whatever, I can ask the server, give me information, give me resources, but not a home page or a page in a URL or no. The server will not be a web server. It will be a network device, your switch, your router, multi-layer switch. And I will ask you to give me your configuration file. I will ask you to give me your host name. I will ask you to change something. Using what? Using this HTTP command. So what I will do, I will use application, API client application made by Google. We call it Postman, for instance. And I will say, okay, go to this URI. This URI actually represents not a web server this time. It is represent your Dell switch, your Cisco router, or whatever. And I will say, I want to get all these information, for example. The router, the device will tell you, okay, let me package it for you. When I say package it, he's written it in a way that you can understand. He needs to send it to you in data encoding you can understand. And what is the best two data encoding that you can use? XML and JSON. So I will send it to you so you can read it as XML or JSON. And here you go, read it. You can do something else. You can send me a post command saying, you know something, using the URL, I want to go to this bar, which is maybe your interface Giga Ethernet or something. And I need you to take this JSON data and apply it. And actually, JSON data is just representing some information to change the interface. I guess if I have just let me show you something here. If I can have it, it will be good. I didn't put in my mind that we could have it. Yeah, this one. Why not? Check this. You see, I can have 3 data encoding: YAML, XML, JSON. All of them is giving you the same piece of information, but they wrote it in different way. In YAML, YAML is more user-friendly when you're reading, even more than JSON. As you can see, the name is Giga Ethernet 5, description 1, enable, shutdown, no shutdown. True, that's mean it is no shutdown. ITIF, IB version 4. This is like a definition coming from Yang data modeling, because we are using that. Yang saying the address IB is this one, subnet mask is net mask. Here is the value of it. This is the variable, or this is the key, and this is the value for it, and so on. All of them are the same, or you can do it using your command line. It's up to you, right? This is the difference between them, and this is how to send it. So if I was talking about how REST API is working, this is cool, it is good. Maybe and we say that you can talk with your device, with your switch, with your router using Postman. Is my tools here will be only Postman from Google? No, you can write a Python script like the one that we just saw here. We saw here, as you can see, we saw here a few Python scripts that can do something with devices, can talk with different devices at the same time. Also imagine something that you can repeat this line again down, but in this case not iOS but Dell OS10. This is the name we use for the Mac. You can have one script that can configure all your devices. Anyway, you can use in this case Python. But Python script, wait a minute, are we going to use this third-party library, NAPALM, that you are using? No. In this case, since I'm using REST API, I'm using a third-party library. We call it requests. Requests library is what make a Python script act similar to like a browser and send get or post command to a device and get the information, send the information. Actually, request is made even to talk with a web server and web application in the first place. So this is your second tool. The third tool is a Linux command. We call it curl, made to do the same thing, getting information or posting information to a web server. And again, this web server, not necessarily to be a web server, it could be your network device, your Dell switch, your router. And here, something worth to mention is, just let me check something when it comes to the curl. Let me show you how curl is working with one example. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of examples that related to Dell here, but you can see curl. This is the Linux command. -x capital post or get. It looks like I want to send information to a device. Then header, content type application JSON. That's mean I'm going to talk with you with JSON language. Okay, and header accept application JSON, and I will accept from you JSON, any information in JSON. For sure, I need to authorize myself. Remember, when I was talking in all this story, I didn't talk about the authentication part. The authentication part here, which is here we call it authorization, is simply how you will authenticate yourself. Normally, we have the basic authentication, and in basic authentication, I can send you my username and password. I can send you my username and password and get a token. This token can be used for a specific duration and add it to my commands like CRL, or add it to Python script to be used. In this case, if I'm using username and password, I will use here authorization basic. Bearer means that I'm using token. Then I'm adding some information written in JSON that the device I'm talking to will understand. And it looks like this device is Firepower Device Management, the application inside the Firepower itself. And it looks like I'm telling him, block this website, and this is a URL object. Anyway, what I'm seeing here is something the other device will understand. And I'm writing it in what? What is this? JSON. Okay. And this is the benefit of CRL. Why I'm telling you that? Because in a minute you will find that in your user guide, we are doing everything based on CRL examples. Now, what about Netconf API? It is beyond our agenda, but quickly, Netconf is not using HTTP. He's using remote procedure call to create a communication with SSH, to create communication with the other device, and his messaging capability will be our RVC, and he will start sending command. Netconf is coming with his own command. He's a protocol and also API. He comes with his own command that can do a lot of things for your devices. Command that made to talk with any type of device, if the device is supporting Netconf. This is important. I need you to focus on this part. And Netconf send the information, get the information. Netconf has very good capability. Different than REST API or maybe RESTconf that we are going to talk about it in a minute. Netconf can understand that this is a startup file. This is a running configuration file. This is candidate. We know that Dell switches can have this capability to have candidate data store. He can understand all these three data store. He can understand how to look the candidate. All these things Netconf have it, but he's not supporting. He's not supporting JSON, supporting XML only when he's talking. Then we have RESTconf. Okay, and by the way, Netconf, again, you can have tools like CRL or Python script also to deal with it. For RESTconf is trying to take some important thing from REST, some important things from Netconf. I guess I have a good slide for that. Let me show it to you. And why I'm focusing here in RESTconf, because Dell switches is supporting RESTconf. It is not supporting. It is not supporting Netconf, as I can see. And frankly speaking, I guess sooner or later, they will. The developers will for sure they will do something and REST API JSON and make sure that Dell switches will support later Netconf, sorry. But the only thing that maybe you will find one developer talking with you about Netconf, that Netconf is a little bit slow comparing with REST API. What about RESTconf? You're saying that Dell switches is supporting this API. Yes. RESTconf is taking few things from REST, taking few things from Netconf, and creating a third solution. Simply, I will not use SSH. I will use HTTPS, and I'm supporting JSON. Not only I'm supporting XML like Netconf, but not only XML, I'm supporting JSON. So JSON or XML as a data encoding. SSH removed, we don't need it. I will use HTTP or HTTPS. And normally to secure the things, you will use HTTPS. And when I say I'm using HTTP instead of SSH like Netconf, what does this mean? It means that I'm going to use HTTP verbs, post, get, delete, update. I will not use this special commands that exist like Netconf have. No, I will not do that. But still, I'm using something Netconf have. Netconf, when he want to run, he need a data model and he's using Yang. Again, RestConf is using Yang. So learning Yang is also, or understanding Yang is also important. This is simply RestConf, but RestConf cannot understand data stores. So he just take the information, send it to run. And don't tell me that Dell is turning on their own candidate data store for this session. I would never understand this. Or looking it or something like that. Yeah. So how to enable RestConf in your Dell switch? Simply, you will need to type REST API RestConf in the configuration command, and done. Now you can have application or a tool that can communicate with your device using RestConf. As we said, RestConf can use HTTP or HTTPS. You can add HTTPS. You will need 3 commands here. REST HTTPS server certificate name, and he will create a self-signed certificate, the switch himself, and he will call himself OS10Dell.com, and he will start talking with this certificate, because we are using HTTPS, TLS in the end, so we need certificate. What is the suite of ciphers or encryption algorithm that I'm going to use for when I'm using HTTPS? He can use RSA with ES128 and SHA 256, ESS 256. All these capability he have. Then you have REST API, RestConf. This is the main command to enable RestConf in your Dell switch. Dell is giving you a good link here to, in the user guide. You still can find it in the user guide. It is giving you some examples, RestConf API examples. Let me add it here. Not typing. Sorry. Okay. Just let me take it. I'll add it for you here. And Dell OS10. And the link itself. This is not showing you the configuration, it's showing you the examples. You can see we have example for interface or system. Let's go for interface. Let's see what we have here. Here, as you can see, it is saying how you will communicate with the device. Normally we're using URL. In URL, you need to say I'm using RestConf, and the JSON content, it will be this one, interface enable description and name. The name is loopback1. And normally this is what's going to be used to configure a loopback interface using RestConf. Then he's showing you how to do it. Here we're still in the first example here. Here he will going to show you how to do it using CURL. The documentation is not trying to show you, it's not trying to showing you how to do it with all different type of tools like Postman, Python requests, Medule. So they choose to show it to you with one method, which is CURL. And here is the example that I just copied and pasted from here. They are showing you that CURL exposed user admin. Here is the IP address. and RESTconf data interfaces. This is something you need to get use of it, how it is going to be written, except and content type. By the way, maybe you notice in the first example when I was talking about CRL as a tool that we have minus header. Minus header or minus H capital, both are the same. Then minus D, this is data. Minus D means the data that I want to send. And the data that I want to send is this one. It is according to Yang, if I want to talk about loopback, I will use this term here. Then I'm saying enabled. It is for shutdown, no shutdown is true, so there's no shutdown. Add a description to this interface, and the name of the interface is loopback 1. And in this case, I'm doing both, so that's mean it will be written inside your kill switch with this IP address and this username and password. More example, you can find it in the link that I shared it with you. This is for interfaces. Then they will show you some, you can go for system and click the system and you'll find some of them here. For example, configuring a system hostname. Let's take it and see how the CRL here is adding. Here I'm saying CRL. The command, you'll tell me, wait a minute, I know get, I know post. You said we have both batch, delete, but why we are using batch here? Simply because you are dealing with a Dell switch that already have a name, right? And now you want to update this name. So you want to change this name. So you will use the term batch here, or the HTTP verb, sorry, command, or HTTP command, or HTTP verb batch. And you will type in the data. You will just type host name, my host, and you will understand what to do. The only different thing here in this example is what we are talking about. As I said, in the URL itself that you are adding to your command, you need to understand what you're doing. Here, I was talking about interfaces. So I'm putting the IB, RESTconf/data, then there is something. I'm talking about interfaces. Here, I'm doing the IB, RESTconf data, and I'm talking about Dell system hosting. And by the way, I'm using from where I got this concept, Dell system. This is again because you need to understand the Yang definition for system and host name for sure. These are the examples for RESTconf. I guess now you understand what is going on when it comes with the automation. Dell switches OS10 supporting Yang, supporting Ansible. Yes, support other stuff, but mainly Ansible, and Ansible is the best because it's agentless. It's supporting RESTconf API, which is something taking the best from REST API and Netconf and add it together. You can communicate with your Dell switch with something else, like a third-party library from Python, like NAPALM, to do the communication and do the stuff for you. Or you can use RESTconf API. It is up to you. We have tools like CRL Linux command, Python script with requests library, Postman API client from Google, which is, if you come in your mind that how it is, how it looks like. It is, here is Postman, it is a GUI, and notice here, for example, I was searching for coronavirus states, cases, search by country. Do you see the term here, HTTP? I will use it, get. Then I don't need authorization or authentication here. So let's say send. Let's see what I'm going to get. I get an answer. It is telling me exactly in yesterday, 13 July 2020, the coronavirus or COVID-19 statistic by countries, because I choose countries here. As you can see, some with RESTconf we don't have this, but with the REST API we can have it. API/v1 or v2. This is something you'll find in REST API. You see that he's giving me the configuration in JSON. I can see it in XML if I wanna. Here it is. And actually, he can do more than that, Postman. I can visualize what I'm seeing, actually. You can see it here by category. You see, he just take the information that I just got it from this web server and I translate it. And imagine that you can do the same with network devices like this week, active cases and all these things. We almost done. I just want to explain concept for VXLAN. I will